Joel Self, Outdoor Instructor here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel, and this time round to, well, the top of my head. The GoPro's come out for this video, and we're going to get you doing some rigging with me in a sort of POV style. Today we're looking at equalising two pieces of gear. In this case they're trad gear, but this could be bolts in a rope access or caving setting as well. A whole load of scenarios, I won't go through them all now. But we're going to equalise those with one knot. This is going to be a bunny ears figure of 8 or double loop figure of 8, called as such because you will have two loops coming out of the top of the figure of 8. So we're going to start off by making a really nice big bight of rope that stretches all the way from one hand all the way across your body span to the other hand. And then we're going to tie our figure of 8 on the bight just as we normally would. So I'm going to leave a little bit of tail just below my little finger here, and then tying my figure of 8. Here we go. So figure of 8 on the bight. We're just going to take a moment to get that dressed, make sure it's looking really nice and neat. It's much easier to do that at this stage than when you've got the next section of the knot done. So at this point we'll check we've got our nice long tail, more than a fistful, so more than 10 centimeters of rope there. That looks good. And then we've got this really huge bight of rope here. Now we could just clip that into both bits of gear and say job done, but there's a bit of an issue with this, which is that each piece of gear is not connected independently. If we lose a section of this rope, if it was to be rubbing against a rock, which hopefully we'd look to mitigate, but if for whatever reason, worst case scenario, this got cut, we're no longer attached to either piece of gear. And if we had a piece of gear below, we would find that everything swung across quite dramatically onto the other piece of gear, and that could shock load that piece of gear because of how we've got it set up at the minute. So what we really want to do is bring this down and end up with two independent legs. Now that may not seem like a logical thing to do with a figure of 8, but there's a really neat way we can do it. If we take this out from our gear again, all we need to do is peel the head of the figure of 8 forward to reveal this hole at the back. We can then pass the head of our figure of 8 back through, bit of a squeeze, there we go. And as you can see, we've got this loop on one side where we're going out the back, and we've ended up with two loops on the front. And you may see where this is going. We'll keep pulling that through, keep pulling it through, and then our new loop on the back of the figure 8, we can pass over those two heads, and we're going to sit it down on top of the bottom two strands, just above where the tail is. If we pinch that with our thumb, that's going to keep everything neat, and then we'll just pull the two heads of the figure of 8 all the way up, making sure they get nice and tight. And again, just double check each strand of the knot has been pulled independently tight, and we can clip each of these loops now that we've got into our pieces of gear, and you'll see we have nice independent legs of rope there, one going to each bit of gear. Really brilliant. So now if we were to lose a strand, we're going to have a nice controlled swing over to our other piece of gear, equally if a bit of gear blows. And by doing this, we're going to be putting nice equal amounts of tension through each line and subsequently up into each bit of gear. Got a nice angle here, really well rigged, set to go. I hope that video is helpful for you. I've been Joel Self, Outdoor Instructor. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.